All right. All right. Let's. There we go. There we go. Hold on. Forgot to shut the door. Forgot to shut the door and forgot to turn on the sign. And, greetings, friends. It's the Grumpy Old Man broadcasting live from Studio B of WDWL TV, located on Grumpy Vulture Boulevard. Okay. 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 All right. And we are a division of Grumpy Vulture Productions. All right, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Camera hog, get back in your cage. All right. Look at this, boys and girls. Tubes. Look at that. Tubes. It takes me back to my childhood. Tubes. Yes. This is my tube amplifier. Not solid state. Tube headset amplifier. Tubes. See them lit up? Look at that. Look at that. Whoop. Up. Look at them tubes. And I'll tell you what. I had when I got these headphones, I had experimented. I just plugged them in. And even with the volume turned up to max on this mic for the headphones, it was like a whisper. Although I was told that with these being professional studio, they had to have an amplifier. Because, say you have a recording artist, okay? The recording artist is got music playing in the background, but they're also piping music into the headphones. Well, the music in the background might be to the point where the recording artist can't hear the music because the headphones. So they amplify them. I'll tell you what. I have this amplifier set on 4. And I'll tell you what. It's like somebody's yelling in my ears. I forgot. Thinking that these were the other headphones. So when I plugged them in to the amplifier was turned up to like 8, and I was like, yeah! It works. It works wonderful. And look at that. Tubes. It's my new toy. And it literally takes me back to my childhood. Because growing up, from as far back as I can remember, everything was powered with tubes. TVs, radios, I'm not so sure about record players. Yeah, they would have to have tubes. I remember I had a portable record player, and you open the top and there was the turntable, and yeah, when you turned it on, you had to wait until it warmed up. So everything from my era growing up was tubes until this was an item everybody growing up had to have. A transistor radio. Because it was small and it didn't have tubes and you didn't have to plug it in. You put a 9-volt battery in it and you had one earphone. Not like today where you got, one. You put the earphone in. Now that was if you wanted to listen silently. You could unplug it and there was a little, the speaker was about that big. Of course, you got to remember the transistor radio was about this size, which was neat in its own. Of course, then we had a multitude of items later on. We had portable cassette players, and then we had portable CD players. I've got one. I'll bring it down tomorrow. I have a CD player still in the package. And everybody's like, what good is that? Use it. Looking at that takes me back to when I was a teenager. Portable CD player. I have a cassette player too. I have to dig in the package. I thought it was down here. Wait a minute. Yes. It's right here. Tomorrow I'll take the CD players hanging on the wall. This was the expensive model because this not only played cassettes, it had an AM/FM radio. Yes, a stereo cassette player. And this one had a headset. But this was the more expensive one because it had the AM/FM radio in it. There we go. Still in the package. And the CD player is hanging up there, still in the package. Now, for the grumpy old man gripe. I signed up with my provider at the pharmacy for either a phone call or a text message when my prescriptions were filled, okay? I have one prescription that it's federally regulated. It can only get filled at a certain time. I can't fill it early. Okay? Now, this is a very strictly timed medication. I'm not going to go into all kinds of details, but it's strictly regulated and it has a very strict time limit. So I called the pharmacy and I said I need my 2 prescriptions filled. The girl said, well, the one is out of stock. And I was like, oh no. And she goes, but, we will have it tomorrow. Now, that worked. Because tonight is when I start using it again. It's a patch, okay? I put one on every 48 hours. So tonight is the start of my new 48 hours. They're almost regulated down to the minute because I'm wearing the last patch for the month. And believe me, if I don't stick to the times, so when she told me it's out of stock, I was in a panic. But she said, no problem. We will have it tomorrow. Okay. I says, I will be planning on picking up my prescriptions around noon. She says, no problem. We get our delivery at 8 a.m. between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Okay. So, I'm sitting here patiently, which is hard for the grumpy old man, waiting for the magic text message. And I'm looking at the clock. I don't know why I'm looking at the clock, because I have a clock right here, but I'm looking over there at the clock. You get the automated system that tells you when your prescription is filled, you will receive a requested text message. Now, even if I get through to a pharmacy tech, she can't tell me if it's filled yet, because once it's filled, it goes into the computer, and then it goes to the girl that does the texting. Okay? 12 o'clock, 12:30. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and I keep, like a dummy, looking at the phone. Although when I get a text message, I get a bing. You heard that bing. Somebody sent me a text message. I'll read it later. I know who it's from. So, no bing, no little icon. 12:45, no bing, no icon. 1 o'clock, no ding, no icon. Now, my ass is getting nervous because the pharmacy closes at 2. 1 o'clock. Nothing. Now I'm really getting nervous because I can't afford to wait till Monday. 1:15. Bing. Prescription filled. Now, luckily, with normal traffic, I'm only 15 minutes away. I bolted out the door into the truck. I'm away. And I'm watching time. Now, luckily, traffic was moving steady today. No problems. I pull in. Get to the window. Give the girl my name and details. She comes out with the magic bag. I pay. Every month it goes up and up and up and up and up. Believe me. I cringe every time I have to pick up a prescription because it's always more. So I get the magic bag and I says, "Can I ask you something?" And she says, "Sure." I says, "Do you have any way of telling me what time that prescription was filled?" She goes, "Well, what time did you receive your text message?" I said, 1:15. I was in a panic. She into the computer, clickety click, click, click. That prescription was filled at 9:31. I said at 9:31, and I didn't get the text message until 1:15. She says, "Well, on Saturday, they only have one person sending the text messages." She was behind. I said, "Oh yeah, I know she was behind. I was in a panic." So when I got home, I went into the hospital website and I clicked off of text message and clicked onto phone call. Because see, if you click onto phone call and you call, you get through to a pharmacy tech who can tell you physically whether it's filled or not filled. Grumpy ain't relying no fucking text messages no more. No. This was a little too close for comfort. Because I need to put that new patch on at 9 p.m. Grumpy couldn't wait till Monday. And it's not like I can stretch them out. No. Because I have been on them for so long that the body says, hey, asshole, patch time. See, I was at a 72-hour time limit. But you know, as you have a medication for so long, you build up a tolerance. And my tolerance has now gone from 72 hours to 48. And it can't go from 48 to 24. Right now, I'm maxed out. And I had a discussion with my pain management doctor the other day, and I said, hypothetical question. What do we do when we get to the point this medication is no longer working right? He said, well, it's about a 2-week hospital stay because they have to wean you off of one and slowly start you on another. Grumpy don't do well in hospitals. I've had enough surgeries where I don't even like to do visiting, if you catch my drift. So, a 2-week hospital stay is not in Grumpy's future. No. I'll never forget when I had the fusion done in my neck. I've got a 5-6 C5-C6 fusion. Matter of fact, one day I'll show you the X-ray because you know those ID tags for dogs that look like a milk bone? I've got one of them in my neck. And you can literally see it looks like a milk bone. One of those ID tags. And this X-ray is so precise, you can tell it has a Phillips head screw. Yeah, it's right here. And the strange thing, now, my surgeon didn't go in to every little detail. He informed me what was going to be done, but he never told me the one thing that really screwed with my head. Because I have friends and relatives that have had fusions done. As a matter of fact, my cousin had a 5-6-7, and he had this big scar down the back of his neck. So, I wake up in intensive care, and I got this big, hard neck brace on. I mean, it pushed my chin up, and I couldn't move. It was like, how do I drink? Well, sit up, asshole. Okay. Here's a straw in the cup. How do I eat? Very carefully. So, I got this, I didn't have the beard at the time, but I got this heavy, hard plastic neck brace. And the doctor comes in and he goes, let me take a look at your bandage. So I start to turn. And he goes, no, 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 no. Well, you know, in these neck braces, they have that hole in them in case, you know, you got a trach. And he looks, he takes out his flashlight, and I said, what are you looking there for? Well, he said, that's where the incision is. I says, he goes, new form of surgery. They don't, you can't see the scar anymore. It was through here. Yeah. My dog bone is in the, right there. And luckily, it was only a 2-day stay. Because I recovered pretty quick. As a matter of fact, there were 4 of us that had cervical fusions that day. One had a C3-4. One had a 4-5. I had a 5-6. And the guy behind me had a 5-6-7. Well, we were all smokers. So, every couple hours, the nurse would come in and say, all right, guys, let's go. Well, a couple of the guys weren't ready for a cigarette. And she said, you're ready for a cigarette. Let's go. And it was really strange because we went up to the roof of the hospital. And on the roof of the hospital was a bus shelter. You know, the 3-sided bus shelter. Yeah. That was the smoking area, the bus shelter on the roof of the hospital. So, you know, all 4 of us we're burning them, you know. And when we were done, she took all 4 of us like, you know, a herd of sheep back to our rooms. And she would take our cigarettes away so that we couldn't sneak out. Because I thought it strange when I was in the room getting ready for, you know, surgery. You get undressed and you get that beautiful gown with no back in it. As a matter of fact, I've had so many stays in the hospital, I can tie that son of a bitch without even thinking. So, they take your clothes. I don't know why, because, well, I know why. Because when we come back from surgery, we weren't going to be in that room. And she says, are you a smoker? I said, yes. Give me your cigarettes. I was like, what? She goes, I'm just going to hold on to them. And I gave her my cigarettes. And she put a piece of tape with my name on them. So that when we got to the roof, she could pass them out. Like a deck of cards. Here's your name. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. It was a very interesting, because you know, the doctors tell you you're not supposed to smoke because it slows down the healing. I don't care. After that surgery, I needed a smoke. Although I will tell you, the food was very good. And it's not because I was hungry. For hospital food, it had flavor and it was quite tasty. I'm trying to think, what did I have? Well, for breakfast after surgery, I had scrambled eggs, sausage and bacon, home fries, and coffee. For lunch, I think I had a sandwich. I just ordered a small hoagie. That was another neat thing. You could order a sandwich with what you wanted on it. So I got a small hoagie and what did I have for a beverage? It wasn't coffee. We weren't allowed carbonated beverage. I think it was apple juice, grape juice. For dinner, the best tasting Swiss steak I have had in ages. It was better than a restaurant. And this is a hospital. It was so good I wanted seconds, but instead my nurse brought me 3 pieces of pie. Yeah, she took care of me. Two apple and a cherry. Yeah. She said, I know you're hungry. Because the Swiss steak serving wasn't really that big. And I had mashed potatoes and green beans. And so she said, I'm going to go down and sneak you some. She brought up 3 slices of pie. She was good. I liked her. The next day for breakfast, what did I have the next day for breakfast? Corned beef hash. I had corned beef hash the next day for breakfast. Because I had eggs the day before, I said, well, and the hash was pretty, I think it was canned. But it was all right. And then for lunch, I had another hoagie. And then after lunch, I got discharged because I made such a good recovery. Looking at the timer, I get carried away. But I'm only at the 35-minute mark, so I'm not carried away too bad. Also, you notice the mic? The Mystic White test. Because I wanted to test the headphones, and I knew that this microphone was set up just right. Although it might be a little on the loud side, I think I hit the volume, but so I apologize if you have to turn it down. But I'll tell you what, friends, I am loving these tubes. I am loving this amplifier. And they're hot. Yeah, dummy. I should have known. Back when I was a kid, I think I burned the fingerprints off my fingers one day. Yeah, I forgot they get hot. Yeah, hot. But they're tubes. None of that transistor shit. And they're glowing red. Oh, I could stare at that for hours. But no, I dig her not. I'll stare at it for hours later. It's amazing. The sound quality is amazing. That little box. Amazing. You know, as much as I don't need it, I'm going to look in to the tuner for my component stereo, because they have one with tubes. I think there's like 6 tubes in it. I think I'm going to look into it. Although I shouldn't be spending the money. See, that's another thing. I haven't played my stereo in 2 years. And here's the problem. First of all, somewhere, the folder, the valise that had every owner's manual for every piece of equipment got lost. Gone. Not thinking that would get lost, I didn't make a diagram of all the wires. Because, you know, you got wire that comes out of the tuner and, you know, goes into the EQ, and then from the EQ it goes into the cassette player, and the cassette player to the CD player, and to the reverberator and the turntable, and I forget how all that shit's wired. So, I emailed tech support from Rockville. And I explained what happened. Figuring they would say, sorry. Dave, the technician that got my email, said, send me the name and the model number of every component, and I will send you a detailed diagram as to how to wire it. Amazing. I figured I would get blown off. Although Rockville Electronics has a whole selection of component equipment. But even so, I mean, I admitted to him, I said, the only thing I bought from you is this amplifier. And he said, no problem. So tomorrow, I have to give him a list of the equipment name and model number. Most of it's JVC. I can't remember. I know the reverberator isn't. People are going, reverberator? What the hell's a reverberator? It's an echo chamber. You know, back in the day, some of the recording studios had a slight echo. Well, back when I was a teen, reverberators were a hot item. God, I had one in my car. So I bought the big component. So I've got my turntable, the tuner, the EQ, the reverberator, the dual cassette player, the CD player. I think that's it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the cassette player is not a JVC. It's a it's a high end. It actually came out of a recording studio. I bought it at an auction. So this thing is big bucks. I didn't pay big bucks for it, but brand new it was big bucks. God, it's got more dials and knobs. And Grumpy was a real stereophile back in the day. My turntable is big bucks. And like I say, everything was mainly JVC because I'm trying to think where I bought everything from. They ended up going out of business. It was an electronics store. And I could have slept there. Oh, the equipment that they had. Oh my God. Oh. Every stereo component imaginable. There were sections, cassette players, dual cassette players, CD players, tuners. As a matter of fact, there was a turntable that had twin arms. And one played forward and the other one played backward. I never saw a turntable with dual arms. And I said to the guy, he says, one playing backward? And he goes, yeah, I don't understand it myself, but it works. That thing was like $4,000. They had everything. They had a wall of speakers. A wall. From low-end cheapies to ungodly. Matter of fact, they had a couple of speakers. They were flat panels. They looked like room dividers. And the sound, oh God, unbelievable. Yeah, that place got a lot of Grumpy's money. But I'll tell you what, everything to this day works perfect. And the speakers, I've got the first edition Radio Shack Mach 1s. The cabinets are solid cherry wood, not veneer. It takes like 2 people to carry these son of a bitches. They're so heavy. With a 16-inch burnout-proof liquid-cooled woofer. And then there's a mid-range and the tweeters. And they're all adjustable. I waited for these because they were in the catalog, the fall catalog at Radio Shack, and it said, June of 75 or 76. So I checked with my Radio Shack store regularly because I wanted to hear what these sounded like. So I called the store one day and the guy said, I just got them in. I haven't even got them out of the box. So I up to the store and he was just taking them out of the box. And I said to him, I said, well, how many did you get? And he said, just these 2. He goes, I won't have any more for 3 or 4 weeks. These are my demos. I was like, yeah, but I got a deposit. And he goes, these are my demos. And okay. So I went out in my car and I moved my car to the back end of the parking lot so I could watch the store like a spy. And he had taken the speakers out of the box and they were just sitting there. Well, he went to lunch. And there was a sales clerk around my age. $18, $19. No, I was in my early 20s, but this kid couldn't have been more than 18 years old. So I come in the store. You've got the Mach 1s. He said, yeah, we just got them, but we only got one set. I said, well, I pulled out. I got a deposit. I want the speakers. I've been waiting. The kid says, okay. So he rang me up. I paid the balance in cash. Pardon me. And we boxed them up. And then he helped me carry them out to the car. And I beat Pete out of that goddamn parking lot, believe me. Well, I was no sooner home and the phone rang. And it was the manager of the Radio Shack store. And he said, bring my speakers back. I said, they're my speakers. Paid in full. I have a receipt. Those are my demos. I said, I guess you'll have to wait 3 or 4 weeks, won't ya? Oh, he was pissed off. Oh, my God. Those are my demos. I won't have anything to demo. I said, well, I'll be demoing in my house. I'm going to demo them to me. He said to me, he said, don't ever shop here again. Well, can't tell you that. I paid in full, every penny. So I just waited until the assistant manager was working. And then if I needed to buy something, I went up. And then lo and behold, about 15 years later, this assistant manager Now, Radio Shack was gone by then. Had a computer repair shop right across the street from where I was living. And him and I got to be, oh God, we got to be best of friends. And I was on disability, so in order to kill time, I went over and I sat with him every day, and we would BS, and customers would come and go, and I spent my day with him, and then he had health issues and had to sell off the business, and I would go to his house and visit him on a regular basis, and it was a sad day when he passed. But it was odd that I was like, didn't you? And he was like, yeah. I said, you remember me? He said, well, not. I said, the Radio Shack Mach 1 display speakers. And he was like, oh my God, that's you? I said, yep. And I says, I still have them to this day. And we had a good laugh about that. Oh, my God, yeah. But those were the days, friends. Those were the days. And this brings back those memories. The days of tubes. Hot tubes. Yeah, hot. But oh, the sound. Oh. Perfect. And with that, I'm going to call it an evening. Everybody enjoy the rest of the night. And I will talk to you tomorrow.